it's Karen Burniston here with an assembly video for one of our die sets. This is die number 1222, the BAM box pop-up, and you can check out all of our die designs at KarenBurniston.com. This pop-up is named after what it does, which is just BAM, pops something up at you. It's just a small little rubber band powered box, and the die set includes 2 of them. There are lots of ways you can use that cute little box. What I thought I would do on the video would be to duplicate the card that I made for the packaging. On the packaging, I did it in this bee thank you theme. And then for the video today, I'll do it in a happy birthday theme. I started with a piece of medium weight cardstock, 12 inches long by 5 inches tall. Then I scored that cardstock 3 inches from each end. So what that will give me is a gatefold card where the panel in the back is 5 inches by 6 inches, and then each of those panels will fold into the center. I just went stash diving and found this cool piece of plaid paper in my stash. It's Echo Park, but it's older. And all I did is I just looked at the colors that were in the plaid and used those to select my solid colors for the card. I just cut each panel of the pattern paper a little bit smaller than the cardstock panel. I'm going to make it easy on myself and just use the same pattern paper on the front of the card as well. For this left side, I can go ahead and glue down the entire paper panel. But when I get to the right side, I'm only going to glue the upper half of it down so that I can still get underneath it to add a magnet later for a closure. I don't always add pattern paper to the back of a card. It sort of depends on my cardstock weight, but this was a medium weight cardstock, so I went ahead and added the pattern paper to the back as well. Okay, I am ready to make some BAM boxes. So in this die set are 8 pieces, and the 2 identical BAM boxes, I can cut those at the same time. And then there's a piece that cuts Decorator rectangles that will actually fit on the BAM box for decoration. I should be able to cut through 2 layers of pattern paper at the same time with that die. You can use any die cutting machine that can accommodate a wafer thin die, and today I'm using my Spellbinders Platinum 6. Now I need 1 more set of those little rectangles for the BAM box because I need 6 of them and I only have 4 right now. Okay, that is all the die cutting I need to do, and now I am ready for assembly. So getting my BAM boxes out of the dies, the first thing is just to get rid of any cardstock that's in any of the holes on either piece. Okay, let's talk rubber bands. You may be familiar with Alliance Pale Crepe Gold Soft Stretch number 12 rubber bands, because this is the size that I recommend for all of our pop-up ball dies. So this may be a rubber band size you already own, and if so, it will work wonderfully. No need to buy anything else. However, if you're just getting started with our rubber band pop-ups, my favorite for this size is the Alliance Firm Stretch number 8 rubber bands, so these little small ones. Now, if you don't want to buy giant boxes of either of these size rubber bands on Amazon, your other choice is to get a small baggie on our website. Just go to KarenBurniston.com, tools and accessories. Since I need 2 BAM boxes for my card, I'll assemble one with a number 8 and one with a number 12. Okay, starting with the crescent cutout at the top, the 2 little close holes at the top, I'm going to fold on the first score line away from myself, and then the second one away from myself, and then the third one away from myself. So 3 mountain folds, 1, 2, 3. Then there is the only valley fold in the piece that brings those 2 sets of holes up next to each other. And then I finish out with 2 more mountain folds. So away from myself, away from myself. So looking at this, you can see it is mountain, 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 valley, mountain, mountain. And then what I'm going to do is take my strong adhesive down into that valley and seal it closed. I like glue for this, so I'm using my LINECO neutral pH adhesive in my fine tip bottle. We do sell both of those items on our website. And then I'm just going to use a couple little quilting clips to hold that closed while the glue sets up. And then I'm just going to go do the exact same thing on the next one. So mountain fold, mountain fold, mountain fold. So the first 3 are mountains, then 1 valley. That brings the holes together, then 2 more mountains, mountain, mountain. So super easy to fold the BAM box. There's nothing difficult about it, and it's very quick as well. Once again, glue down into the valley to seal that closed. And that basically just brings the 2 sets of holes together. I'm just kind of assembly lining these. So I'm going to go back to this one where the glue is set up, and I'm going to flip that over so that I'm inside the box. And then I'm going to grab that number 8 rubber band, and I'm just going to wrap it around that shelf that I just made and into those holes. So you can see it there, super easy. Here's the little shelf. And then what I want to do is I want to bring that shelf diagonally up to where it is just sitting under that crescent. So see, it's just right there on the seam under that crescent. And then I'm going to bring the crescent down so that as I stretch this rubber band, I can go up and over the crescent and into the other set of holes. Okay? So that's what it looks like when you have the rubber band in. And then that crescent needs to go back where it started again. So right back into its cutout area. The only reason that that crescent is cut at all is to give access to the holes. But then now when I glue this together, I want adhesive all over the crescent and all over the area around the crescent, and then bring the last panel up into it. And I can reach my finger in there so that I can give it a good press against my finger, or I have the option to just collapse the box and then I can give it a really good press in the flat position. Okay, letting go, you can see that is all there is to it. Y'all, it's just the cutest little small box. And it is so generic, it doesn't have any theme whatsoever, and it will pop up anything that you want to pop up inside a card anywhere you want to put it. Okay, let me demonstrate the other one using that number 12 soft stretch rubber band. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put an X in the middle and then go around again. So basically I'm just going to loop it twice, and then I'm going to treat it just like I did my number 8. So around that shelf and into the holes on either side. So both loops of that number 12. And then I'm going to just kind of even it up. All right. So then you see that on each side I basically have two layers of rubber band, here and here. Okay. From here I'm going to take that shelf. I'm going to go diagonally up underneath the crescent, just like I did before. Then I need to just have the crescent coming down to where I can stretch just one section of the number 12 rubber band up and over the crescent. So don't try and do both, just do one. One is enough tension for it to work wonderfully. 2 will probably be a little too strong. And then just like I did before, I put the crescent right back where it started again. I want to make sure that as I add the glue that I'm adding it all over the crescent and the area around the crescent. So I'm just treating this like a solid side that is going to glue to the other side. Once again, I can get my finger inside there to give some good pressure, or I can flatten the box and give it a really good press in the flat position. So the band box assembles great with that number 12 soft stretch or with the number 8 firm stretch. And I would say the only difference is when it's in the flat position, the number 12 there on top, you can see is a little thicker because there's 2 layers of rubber band in there versus the number 8 where there's just 1. So if that is of concern to you, stick with the smaller number 8s, but it won't make any difference in performance. Okay, one thing to know is you only can collapse a band box on the corners opposite the crossbar. If you try and collapse them through the crossbar, it will not work. So you can only collapse them that one way. So then you have to figure out which way they collapse when you're deciding how they go inside the card. So just put it on the table and kind of press against it and make sure that you choose the one where it's going to collapse to the back if you're making a card like mine. And I'm just going to grab a pen or pencil and mark a B on the bottom once I've figured that out. And that's the side that I won't add any decorator piece to because you'll never see it. I'm just going to glue that to the card. Adding the decorator rectangles to the band box is completely optional. The die comes in the set, but of course there are times when maybe your band box is going to be completely hidden in the card, so then you don't even really need to decorate it. But for my card, I decided to decorate the 3 sides other than the one that is labeled B. And I just used those decorator pieces. They're a little bit smaller than the side, so they'll leave a very thin shadow around the perimeter. The rest of the pieces in the set are some great shaped decorator dies and a heart. So there are 4 of this shaped decorator die. It is an octagon with some little divots in the corners. So it is extremely generic shape die, and it's going to alternate between a press dot and then a score line and then a press dot and then a score line. And I have layered the 3 largest shapes together. Okay, so you can have items pop up by gluing them to the top of the band box or to the front of the band box. Like I said, there's just different ways that you can do things with it. But I've decided that I'm going to have my shapes pop up on the front of the band box. So I'm going to attach it to the front. So a little adhesive on one section of the shape and then across the top of the front of the band box. And then I'm just going to get in there and kind of try and get it straight and attached to the box. Okay, so it's attached to the box. I'm going to collapse that down and then put the other band box, making sure that the bottom is towards the bottom there. So it's basically the exact same location as the first one. And then I can kind of get in there on the corners maybe. Yes, the corners will do it, to be able to clip those two band boxes together. And then now I can add my adhesive to the front of that second band box and to the bottom of one little panel of my shape. And then I can use the first one as my guide to make sure that I basically place the shape exactly the same location on the second band box that I did on the first, so that there'll be a nice matched set. And I can even take my clips and just kind of clip this one so that that glue can set up. Time to work on the windows for my card. So I basically want to put these two shapes in this center panel, get them up near the top at just a little slight angle so that they'll come together when they pop up like this. I can't glue them in yet, so I'm just going to clip them at the top so that I kind of know their location. I can still close each flap. I'm basically just trying to determine where I need to cut my windows to be able to see these in the closed position. I'm just going to use a pencil just under the front lip of that collapsed band box to be able just to remember what angle I had those at. And then I can take those off, but I think I am also going to label the bottom, which one's my right one and which one's my left one. They're very similar because I use them, as a guide for each other, but just in case there's a little difference, I know which ones I used in which location. The die I'm using for windows is the third largest die, the one that corresponds to the white layer in my set. And I want to use my temporary removable tape up behind the die so that the blade is up and the sticky side of the tape is up. Okay, now I get my pop-up put back down into the position that I've decided I wanted in the closed position, and then I'm just going to set that die onto the white one so that it is perfectly aligned. And I don't love that my tape is crossing the fold, but I think it'll be okay. I don't think I'll move the tape. I'll just close the card. I'm just holding it so that it can't move, and the tape will move the die over to the other side, exactly where it needs to be die cut. Now I'm going to put that end of the card in my die cutting machine, and then for my top cutting pad, I'm going to bring it just right to the first fold line. And that way, if the edge of the cutting pad leaves any mark on the card, it will be down in that fold and I won't notice it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go until it clears the die and then just run it back through again, since I'm going through basically 2 layers of pattern paper and cardstock. So I just want to make sure that I got through all the layers before I take that die off. But I can see that I did. That's a nice open die, so it should be fine to go through 3 layers. Now I'm going to repeat that exact same process for the other side. So just putting my pop-up in on the pencil line at the right angle, putting my die blade side up with temporary tape, letting the temporary tape move it to the other side, and then running it through my die cutting machine with the cutting pad ending right at the fold line. Okay, here's how I want that pop-up. So when it sits in this opening, it's actually going to point the opposite direction, and then it's mirror image on the other side. So let me see if I can make that make more sense. So here on the front, I'm getting that positioned so that it's perfectly in the opening. All right, because I want that to line up perfectly in the closed position. And then back inside here, let me just clip that for a second so it doesn't move. All right, notice that the band box is pointing down to this corner, but then when it goes mirror image on the other side, it'll point towards the center again, which is exactly how we want it. So I just need to add my adhesive all over the bottom of the band box. I've got it in the collapsed position right now. And then I'm just going to keep everything nice and flat while I close the entire card over and into that exposed adhesive. And I'm going to flip that over before I let go. Just look and see if it's lined up in the opening, which it is. Let me reach in and hold that close while I open the flap, and then you can see now it's in the correct position, exactly how I wanted it to be, and then when I let go, it'll pop up pointing towards the center a little bit. So that's the only thing that you have to remember, is that when you go to put it face down in the opening on the outside edge, you're going mirror image to the way it is on the inside. Okay, so let's do that on this side. So this is how I want it. So when I flip it over, See, it's going to point now down towards that bottom left corner in the closed position. Then I can flip it over and get it perfectly positioned in the opening. Then holding it so it doesn't move, I'm going to just put that flat against the table. Notice it's pointing down so that it'll point this way. So it'll go mirror image across that fold. And then I add my adhesive all over the bottom of that band box. Keep everything nice and flat. Close the entire card over and onto that exposed adhesive. And then I can carefully flip it over, make sure everything's in the opening the way I like it. I'm going to reach in and still hold it while I open the flap up. And then when I feel like it's been enough time that it's not going to come flying off the card, then I can let it go. Okay, so there you go. That's how you get them lined up. And then now you'll see that they will pop up towards the center. And one's going to overlap the other, and it just sort of depends which one comes up first. And it doesn't, it doesn't matter. It might be different every time. It doesn't matter. It will find a way for those two to sit next to each other in the card. By nesting the two largest decorator dies together, I can make frames that will fit around those openings so that I can trim out the window openings on the front of the card and the inside. For a magnetic ribbon closure, one of the magnets is under the pattern paper. Remember, I hadn't sealed that down all the way. And then the other one is actually in that ribbon. So that ribbon is looped over the top of a magnet, put in there with glue dots, and then just trapped in the little fold over pattern paper on the edge of the gatefold card. And then those magnets will just stick to each other when the card closes. Then for my leftover ribbon, I tied a very small bow and then used a mini brad to attach that to the closure and opened up the prongs through the first layer of ribbon. So the prongs are basically hidden between the ribbons. So to open the card, I can either lift up on the ribbon or I can just open the card to disengage the magnets. For decorations, I'm using the big birthday charms. Now what's nice about charm sets is that they're double duty decoration. You can just trim off the charm holes if you want to use them as standalone embellishments like I did for the card. And then the balloons and the slice of cake that are on the pop-up, I actually use some pop dots behind those. So as you work on the pop-up decorations, you might want to just clip them down to the card to make it a lot easier to do those decorations. So I just glued down my balloon strings on my right pop-up. I decided for a greeting to do Happy Birthday from our Word Set 2 set, placed it on some cardstock, and then I'm putting that cardstock strip across the card just in front of the pop-ups themselves. And then my last two decorations for the inside of the card are a couple of layered shapes with big birthday charms. The one on the right is going to be the place where I can sign the card. And I liked the way the strip of that burnt orange cardstock looked across the inside of the card, so I decided to add one to the front of the card as well with a streamer from the big birthday charms. My finished card measures 5 inches by 6 inches, so it will fit in an A7 envelope for mailing. And as you can imagine, you could further change the colors and the styling and the theme and make this card for anything. The band box is completely generic, as are the shapes that come with it. The band box set also includes that heart that you see behind the slice of cake. The little band box gives you so much freedom to just put something anywhere you want to inside the card and have it go bam, pop up when you open the card. But because the band box is so small, it also works well to animate your box cards. A very popular die for us is our woven basket box card, which makes this fun little woven basket. You expand it when it comes out of the envelope, and then it just makes a great display piece. But if you would like to make it self-open, then just assemble a couple of band boxes and put the glue on 2 sides, and then get that band box in a corner. And I like to do this with the woven basket box card expanded so that I can get it just real tight up there in the corner. And then I'll put another one in the opposite corner. Now I do have to make sure that the crossbar goes the same way on both band boxes. So I have to pay attention to that so that I'm making sure to put my adhesive on the 2 sides where when I glue it into the corner, it is going to match the direction of the other one. So the crossbar is going in the exact same direction. Okay, so now when you close it, it will pop back open again on its own because of the band boxes. So that just makes for a fun surprise when someone pulls it out of the envelope. And it will also work in the corners of our wide woven basket box card. So just give that a try. It's kind of a fun reveal that it opens on its own. Now let's look at some great BAM box inspiration by our talented design team. Here's a cute card by Lois Bach using our new hexagons crosshatch and our new bookworm die set on a BAM box. You can see that just pops up as the card opens, and she keeps that card closed with magnets. Sue Small Kreider put BAM boxes in the corner of her sports-themed Happy Birthday wide woven basket box card. Our new slider box die set will fit a standard size gift card, and Fran Sabad cleverly added a BAM box to the gift card so that it pops up BAM as the drawer slides out. And then Frances Byrne was inspired by Fran's card to give it a try, so she has a gift card on a BAM box inside our slider box die set. The BAM box is going to work great to animate your stamped images, like Lois shows here with these cute characters, and she's used a belly band to keep that card closed. Jen Webster recently said that the BAM box is such a game changer, and I think that her school card really shows it. She's used them behind all of those students that she added to the left side of the card. Here's a beautiful anniversary card by Karen Aiken where she's used several BAM boxes to create a heart sculpture in the card. And I love the simplicity of this card by Karen with just a single BAM box inside the card and then bam, happy birthday pops up. Suzanne Smith used BAM boxes in this cute owl and book card. On this fireplace card by Frances Byrne, she's used a BAM box behind her stamped gift wrap girl so that she can sit out in the middle of the floor. And then finishing up with a super clever card by Sandy Diller where she combined BAM boxes and the hat of a snowman to be able to make vintage desks. The BAM box pop-up is available now at a lot of your favorite local and online retailers, as well as on our website, KarenBurniston.com. Thanks for watching. If you click on the website link, you'll go to KarenBurniston.com, where you can purchase these dies as well as find links to our other social media accounts. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out some of my other videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.